Welcome back to another episode of the New Motorcycle Riders Podcast, your podcast for everything about motorcycling. But before we start, hit that like and subscribe button to stay on top of our latest podcast topics and discussions. It doesn't cost you anything, and it really helps us to reach more motorcycle riders. If you have something you'd like to hear discussed on our podcast, please send us a message and let's make it happen. Now, recently I was approached by someone that said they were interested in buying a motorcycle and they wanted to know what advice I could give them about it. Now, there is so much that I could say, but I was positive he didn't want to be listening to me for hours about everything I know about motorcycling. So in this episode, I will talk about the give and takes of motorcycling and how emotional decisions can lead to terrible collisions. A good friend of mine used to always say, "It's all fun and games until someone loses an eye." From the first time I heard him say that, I knew exactly what he meant. Playing victim doesn't work for motorcyclists. I mean, you can blame everyone in the world for what happens, but in the end, you're the one who has to pay for it. So you are the one who should work the hardest to keep yourself safe. Now, as a new or prospective rider, you will hear a lot of people talk about a motorcycle rider's training course. This is great advice, and they will teach you what you need to do in a scripted environment in order to pass your tests. But what happens when you run into an off-script situation? Sometimes things don't always go as planned and you'll be forced off script, and other times you will go off script because it will lead to the more favorable outcome. Here's an example. You hear a lot about riding to the right or left of the lane. That's good when the conditions are perfect. But what if you're in the right lane and it has a bunch of potholes or cracks in the road, and you see liquid or fluids on the left side of the lane? Do you go off script or do you stick to the book? In this situation, you may find yourself going off script, if only for a little while, until the road condition changes. Another example is when you hear people talk about laying down their bike intentionally to avoid an accident. Personally, I don't believe this is a good motorcycle tactic unless you're doing it because it's the best solution for the best outcome. The reason I don't believe in this is that in order to get into that type of a situation, only means you were probably doing something wrong to begin with. I would much rather deal with the cause than the solution. Most of the people who find themselves in that type of a situation were either speeding or not paying attention or doing some other reckless or careless maneuver that put them in that situation. Now, it's impossible to know when the next situation may present itself or what it may be. But the more you know, the safer you go. I mean, there's nothing wrong with hearing other people's point of view. Just take what is good and toss what is bad. Contrary to popular belief, even bad advice is good because it makes you aware of what not to do. Let me also throw this in there. Riding emotionally. Emotional decisions can lead to terrible collisions. Throughout the years, I've seen so many riders act emotionally and irrationally when they ride until it makes my skin crawl. Probably explains why I do a lot of riding by myself. When you're in a situation, you get one chance to make it right. If you're feeling highly emotional or you're just not in the right frame of mind, park it. Deal with what is going on and clear your mind first. There will be other days to ride. Over the years, I have found two types of people when it comes to motorcycling. Those who want to ride and those who don't. If you find yourself constantly thinking or trying to find reasons not to ride, then don't, because there are just as many, if not more, reasons to ride than there is not to. And there is so much more that I can add to this conversation, but we will get to them in another episodes. Well, that's going to end this podcast episode, and again, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps us to get the message out. Until the next episode, keep the rubber side down.